The desert went silent the moment Erwin Rommel realized the enemy wasn't retreating, it was waiting. North Africa, 1943. The sun burned mercilessly over endless sand, turning steel into fire and sweat into salt. Rommel stood beside his command vehicle, binoculars pressed tight against his eyes, scanning the horizon. The British had pulled back too cleanly, too calmly, and that made his stomach tighten. Rommel had learned long ago that war spoke in patterns. When patterns broke, death followed. They called him the Desert Fox for a reason. Speed, deception, precision. He had humiliated Allied forces across Libya and Egypt using those principles. Yet now something felt wrong. The battlefield no longer behaved the way it should. Across the Mediterranean, the Allies had made a decision that would echo through history. They sent a man who did not fight wars politely. A man who believed fear was a weapon and speed was salvation. George S. Patton had arrived. Patton didn't whisper orders. He didn't creep forward. He exploded into war. His tanks rolled faster. His men moved harder. And his strategies were built not on caution, but on psychological dominance. Rommel didn't know Patton yet, but he could feel him. Captured radio chatter hinted at a commander who advanced when logic demanded defense. A general who attacked flanks before they fully formed. A man who broke doctrine simply because the enemy expected him to follow it. Rommel lowered his binoculars. His jaw tightened. "This," he murmured, almost to himself, "is not Montgomery." That night, Rommel studied maps until the lantern oil burned low. Every arrow, every supply route, every possible Allied intention. And still, the puzzle refused to settle. Somewhere in the darkness, Patton was doing the same thing, but faster. And the desert, ancient and indifferent, prepared to witness a duel not of bullets, but of minds. Patton believed hesitation killed more soldiers than bullets. When he took command of the U.S. II Corps after the disaster at Kasserine Pass, he was furious. Not at the Germans, but at his own men. Sloppy discipline. Defensive thinking. Fear. He banned retreat talk. Forced soldiers to wear polished helmets even in the desert. Ordered tanks forward relentlessly. To Patton, confidence itself was a weapon. "Fix bayonets," he told officers. "We're not here to hold ground. We're here to take it." Rommel's intelligence officers soon noticed something alarming. American units were no longer predictable. Instead of pulling back under pressure, they counterattacked. Instead of guarding supply lines cautiously, they used them as bait. Patton was shaping the battlefield emotionally, not just tactically. Rommel had always relied on enemy hesitation. Now he faced a man who advanced into danger with unsettling enthusiasm. At El Getter, Rommel tested him. German panzers rolled forward, disciplined and lethal. But the Americans didn't crumble. They absorbed the blow, then struck back with artillery timed to the second. Rommel studied after-action reports in silence. "This man," he said finally, "is learning too quickly." For the first time in months, Rommel felt time working against him. Rommel decided to lure Patton into a classic trap. He staged a feigned retreat, something he had perfected. Leave supplies behind. Abandon ground deliberately. Encourage pursuit. Patton took the bait. Or appeared to. American armor surged forward. Dust clouds rose. Rommel smiled. Then the unexpected happened. Patton split his forces mid-advance. One column continued the chase. The other vanished south, looping wide through terrain Rommel believed impassable. Hours later, German supply depots burned. Rommel stood staring at the smoke. On the horizon, stunned. Patton hadn't chased him. He'd cut him. For the first time, Rommel saw his own strategy used against him, with American aggression layered on top. "This is dangerous," Rommel whispered. The war in North Africa was no longer about who had better tanks or more fuel. It had become a psychological contest. Who could think faster? Who could unbalance the other first? And Patton had just landed a clean blow. Rommel retreated east, conserving strength. He needed time. But time was the one resource he no longer controlled. Patton advanced relentlessly, not recklessly but with calculated pressure. He kept Rommel guessing. Night attacks. Sudden pauses. Unexpected thrusts. Rommel pored over captured American field manuals. He didn't find answers there. The truth hit him late one night, alone in his tent. Patton wasn't following doctrine. He was rewriting it in real time. Rommel closed his eyes. A rare smile crossed his face, not of joy but of recognition. "Finally," he said softly, "a worthy opponent. By the way, if you're gripping this moment with me, watching two minds circle each other across history, make sure to hit subscribe. What comes next changes everything. The next morning, Rommel ordered a withdrawal that shocked his own staff. He chose preservation over pride, because Rommel now understood something terrifying. Patton wasn't trying to win battles. He was trying to end the war faster. The Allies pressed their advantage. Air superiority crushed Axis supply lines. Fuel ran low. Ammunition thinned. Rommel fought brilliantly, but brilliance could not replace logistics. Patton exploited this mercilessly. He struck where Rommel could not respond quickly enough. He forced movement, forced mistakes. Rommel adapted, but adaptation had limits. By May 1943, North Africa was lost. Rommel left the theater quietly. Patton marched forward loudly. They never met, but their strategies collided in every mile of sand. The lessons of Rommel versus Patton didn't end in Africa. Patton carried them into Sicily and France. Speed, shock, relentless pressure. Rommel took them to the Atlantic Wall, defense in depth, rapid counterattack. When they faced each other again, indirectly, in Normandy, the echoes were unmistakable. Rommel prepared for the storm. Patton became the storm. Rommel once said the best generals learned from their enemies. Patton proved it. He absorbed Rommel's brilliance and fused it with American industrial power and psychological warfare. The result was a new way of fighting, fast, aggressive, unrelenting. World War II turned not on a single battle, but on a shift in thinking. And in the desert, under a merciless sun, that shift began.